Everyone's talked about your strengths, how you're a leader. And Mr. Santosh Desai, no wonder is Mr. Santosh Desai, because he said the two things what I also feel, but he put it so beautifully, right? About your sense of humor. And so give me, these are things that went well. Tell me the things that didn't go well.
I don't know, I don't really remember them. I've had a lot of fun. I mean, of course things go wrong sometimes. What's the big deal?
But tell us some interesting anecdotes, one or two stories.
Phew. Honestly, I'm in such a good mood, I can't think of anything bad.
Okay, good. Now, how many of you know that Piyush Pandey used to be a client servicing executive? Of course, Amit, you know, Mr. Desai would know. Tell us that story of how one day you discovered he had creative talent and you got him on the creative side. It is a good story.
Oh well. This was in Bombay, in O&M in Bombay, and Hindustan Lever was a client of ours. Piyush was working with me on several brands. He was account supervisor, working with me on several clients, since this Hindustan Lever, Cadbury, and a couple of others. And we had this brief on sunlight detergent powder, on which our response on which was grossly overdue, and the creative, nothing was happening, and deadlines to meet. And so one morning Piyush came to me and said, मैंने कुछ लिखा है. So he showed me the script he'd written, and it was spot on. It was absolutely to brief, and it ticked off all the boxes. It was absolutely right. So I had a few thoughts. We exchanged thoughts, and I said, just go ahead, develop it. And we needed a pool of 3 or something like that. So I said, okay, just develop more. Go on these lines. So he wrote 3 scripts and came back to me with 3 scripts, and we went off and presented them.
The client was Sanjay Khosla.
Sanjay Khosla was the client, one of the funnest clients I've ever had. Sanjay loved it, and he said, great stuff. And the funny thing was that, back in those days, as many of us here of my vintage or slightly newer, we can remember, everything was presented in English. TV scripts written in English, because that's what copywriters wrote. But they went to Hindustan Lever and presented 3 scripts in Hindi. So Sanjay loved them, but he said, so tell me, who's written this stuff in Hindi? So as Piyush said on that video, we lied through our teeth. We sort of said all kinds of rubbish, and we shuffled our feet and said, no, this new guy we have, and so on and so forth. And so Sanjay said, okay, go ahead. And so that was it. So, well, Piyush said that I didn't take anybody's permission. Maybe he's right. I thought we went to Suresh Malik and confessed. But anyway, then Piyush went and produced those 3 commercials. So those were the first ads Piyush ever made.
Fantastic, and rest is history, as they say. There have been many highlights of your career, many peaks, so to say. What are your top 3 highlights which you think really made you the person you are?
Well, I guess one of them was working with the people, with the bosses I've worked with. As Reena mentioned some of them. I mean, again, touch wood, good fortune. I count among the people I worked with and directly worked with. The very first person I worked with in my career was Subhadra Sen Gupta. He hired me. He himself hired me to work with him. I don't know who here has heard of Subhadra Sen Gupta, but he hired me to work with him. I worked with him, with R.K. Swami, Subhash Ghoshal, Alec Padamsee, Mani Iyer, Ranjan Kapoor. I've actually worked with these people. These are the people who were the movers and shakers in the original madmen of Indian advertising. That's one thing. I mean, I learned different things from each one of them. I guess it's, as a result, the opportunities I've had, the kind of work I've been able to do, and things just happened to me. I mean, there I was, perfectly peaceful and fine, and one fine day somebody called me and I was asked to meet. I was 27 years old. At HTA in Madras. Been there for a year. Thought, okay, finally I've reached HTA, great. Now I'm going to be here. And I got a call asking me to meet Bagu Chani at Lintas. So I met Bagu, who was visiting Madras, and Lintas offered me a job of branch manager in Madras. I was 27 years old. It was an office that had been there for 8 years and made losses for its entire 8 years. I was hired and told, your brief is turned around. That's it. So at 27, I was thrust into this P&L management job. I joined in the middle of the year, 6 months into the year, and I was told, if you don't break even next financial year, we'll close our office. So I had 6 months to get my act together and 1 year to break even in for an office that has been 8 years of losses. And guess what? We broke even. So that was the second thing that really changed my life. I learned P&L management. I was baptized by fire. And I guess the third thing was my crazy move into broadcasting. There I was perfectly happy, busy, doing all sorts of stuff in McCann. I had media, I had direct marketing, I had healthcare, I was doing all that. And I get this call and I find myself in broadcasting. I was 53 years old when I made this career change. Worked out.
Fantastic. Chinta, you feel very strongly about what's happening in the industry or what needs to happen. And you always said, I mean, Santosh alluded to the point that clients are different, Everyone, Rajul also said clients is different. And you always say that the marketeers whose money we are using or investing are not really making the decisions or calls they need to.
Anurag, I've had, my views on marketing today, my views on CMOs today. And as I also in that, I think a piece that I wrote for you on CMOs, I ended with a note of hope at a global level, certainly not at an India level. Well, I'm glad to say that if you see the recent Forbes list of world's top CMOs, if you see that a few weeks ago, the preamble to that list talks about what's happening, and that's very, very heartening. And the CMOs who have been selected in the list, it's heartening to see the kind of people, the kind of work they've been doing. So maybe I was wrong. I'd be very glad to have been wrong.
Good. As I said, we'll keep it in less than 12 minutes. Now what? I know you keep writing about things. As Santosh said, you have a deep point of view on everything beyond advertising. What do you think? I know life is serendipitous. Things come to you. You have one grandchild, and you have a lovely family, so it keeps your friends. But do you think of doing things professionally beyond writing and consulting?
Well, I do what I know. This is all I know. This is all I do.
So are you planning something or you're just enjoying it as it comes?
No, taking it as it comes. Taking it as it comes. I'm perfectly happy to engage. I have a point of view and I like to express it, as you know, very well know. I'm perfectly happy to engage, but as I said, I'm just open, that's all.
Thank you so much, Chinta. Don't want to make it too formal.